Most of the people that know me as a content strategist. But before any of that, I used to work in nursing homes as a caregiver and a home health aide. Called it a CNA, a certified nursing assistant. I gave bed, I repositioned patients to prevent pressure sores. I learned how to transfer someone out of a wheelchair without throwing my back out. And we did team lifts to get patients into jerry chairs. None of that felt like career training at the time. It was just a job. Fast forward 20 years later, when my husband got sick, suddenly I had to tap into all those skills again. In my own living room and bedroom, with nobody to help me. If you're building health tech for patients, caregivers, or if you're a family trying to figure out what you're supposed to know and do, keep watching. National Nursing Assistants Week in 2026 is from June 11th to June 17th. And I've been thinking a lot about what CNAs know and how rarely that knowledge gets transferred to us upon discharge. People are doing CNA level work at home with no training, no support, and usually no warning that this is now their job. So in this video, I'm going to talk about what being a CNA or family caregiver involves that most people don't realize, how that gap showed up in my own caregiving experience, and what it means for the companies that are building digital health tools for patients and families. I have a big stake in this one. Let's go. When people think about CNAs or nursing assistants, they usually picture someone helping with meals or taking vital signs. And yeah, that's part of it. But the job is a lot more body intense and assessment heavy than most people realize. In my training, I learned how to read skin, literally. How you look at someone's back, skin, the heels of their feet, and see the early signs of a pressure ulcer before it becomes a wound. I learned how to log changes in behavior, like someone who's usually talkative that goes quiet, somebody who stops eating, somebody whose grip feels a little different during a transfer. These aren't just little minor observations either. In a nursing home or facility, these are things that get noted, documented, and should be followed up on. I also learned basic biomechanics for moving your body safely, your patient's body or your loved one, and yours. You can hurt yourself badly if you do a transfer the wrong way. There's definitely a technique for every transfer in order to ensure that you and your patient or loved one stay safe. The thing is, none of this stuff is taught to families when their loved one leaves discharge and is going home. When someone comes home from a hospital or rehab facility, the family gets maybe 15 to 20 minute rundown of what's going on, and then maybe a brochure and some discharge papers. Maybe a home health aide comes 2 or 3 times a week. But the rest of the time, the family member who volunteered or got voluntold is the one who has to do the CNA level work without the training. When my husband got sick at his height, he had 10 different doctors, a PCP, and 9 specialists. And I had to track all those patient portals, multiple specialists, multiple prescription changes, way more than I could ever count on paper. I was doing the physical work, the transfers, the repositioning, the skin checks, the documentation, like I said. And that CNA training that I had in the past, even though it was a long time ago, it definitely helped, but it didn't save me from the grief of it. It didn't stop me from being exhausted. It did give me a framework, though, for what I was looking at. When I saw something that looked off during a skin check, I knew it was worth a call to the nurse. When my husband's behavior shifted in ways that were subtle, I had the language for it because I've been trained to notice and name those things. Most family caregivers I've talked to didn't have that. They don't have that. They know if something seems off with their loved one, but they don't always know how to articulate that specifically in a way that will be taken seriously by their provider. Or they miss it entirely because they didn't know what to look for. The difference between what the care plan assumes that the family knows and what the family truly knows is where a lot of things go wrong. Medication errors, delayed wound care, hospitalizations that could have been prevented. Not because the caregiver didn't care, of course, but because nobody told them what to look for or who or when to call. If you're a founder or a CEO of a company or startup that is creating technology in healthcare that helps people with chronic conditions, I'm sure that your heart is in the right place and that you probably have your own story. But if the person on the other end of that product, or persons, because it could be a patient and a caregiver, of course, if they don't understand what's going on with your product, have the foundational knowledge to act on different things involving your product, then either the product can't do its job or it is doing its job, but the caregiver doesn't understand what they're supposed to do with the information. The alert fires, the dashboard updates, the portal message comes through, and the caregiver either doesn't see it, doesn't understand it, or doesn't know what to do with it. This is because of a lack of education, and it shows up in your activation rates, your engagement data, and eventually your clinical outcomes. The companies that I respect most in this space are building education into their onboarding and structuring it as a part of the ongoing user experience. So what does that education look like? You know I'm going to tell you. Email courses, in-app education sequences. It's content that meets caregivers where they are, using language that they actually use, and teaches them the framework before they need it during a crisis. That's what I do. And I think it's some of the most important work in health tech, because without that education, the clinical technology that took years and millions to build will sit half used in the hands of the people that need it most, because nobody taught them. The work that CNAs do is hard. It's hard work. A lot of people can't handle it. It's clinical judgment, it's physical labor, and it's emotional labor, all at once. We care about and love the people that we take care of, whether it's in the nursing homes, in the private homes, and the wages don't reflect this important work. National Nursing Assistants Week exists partly to change that, to name the work, and give these caregivers their due. As someone who held that role and then had to reach back into it years later from a very different position in my life, I have a very particular kind of respect for it. The people that are doing this work in facilities and in homes are doing a lot. They're carrying a lot. They're often the first ones to notice when something is wrong, and they're the last to get credit for catching it. If you know someone who's a caregiver or certified nursing assistant, they're doing their job well, thank them for it. Acknowledge it's thankless work. And if you're building the technology that touches the people that they care for, think about what it would mean to actually build in the knowledge those workers carry. And if you're the one that's creating and innovating this technology, think about what it would mean to actually build in the knowledge that those workers carry. That includes the framework for how to see, what to do, how to document, and how to act. And most of all, involve them from the beginning in those product demos, in the product testing, in those trials. Ask them what they need. If you want to serve someone, you need to know what they need. The second principle leads with why this content should matter to the patient personally, not with medical facts. You shouldn't start your content with critical rationale like the mechanism of action, the evidence base, the technical specifications, when what patients desperately need first is the answer to, why should I care about this right now? People with chronic conditions don't wake up thinking about A1C levels or medication adherence rates. They wake up thinking, will I have enough energy to play with my grandkids today? Or how can I avoid another scary episode like the one that happened last month?